obviously I'm going for monkeyfish.
Do I have a choice?
No. I stole it.
Okay. Old pendulous breast herself.
Chase you through a cave. I know you do outside.
And we're going to talk about how wrong you are after that.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Monsters Lounge. I'm Jeni.
And I am Tressa.
What happened with your voice there, buddy?
I am not feeling great. How are you?
Oh, I'm feeling okay.
Cool.
I've gotten plenty of rest and things, but
how nice for you.
I know. Not really, because that means that I'm still not working full time. Yay!
You can have my job. What?
No, thank you.
Damn it.
I know.
I almost had you.
You did. Mm-hmm. Although I could pretend to be you for a day, if that would help. I think
could you do that tomorrow so I can get some rest?
Yep.
Thanks.
You got it. You got it. No problem. No problem.
Just Tressa, don't talk to anyone.
Deal. Never do. Do you have anything from TikTok that you want to share with us?
I've been pretty busy, so I haven't really looked at TikTok. But I can tell you they have some a mixed bag. What is it? A surprise bag dress sale right now. I don't know what brand or who's selling it, but there is some sort of dress sale. That's all I really remember off of TikTok right now.
That is interesting and tremendously fantastic news. The dress sale, everyone. No idea what brand, no idea where to find it, but there is a sale if you look for it. Yeah.
You're welcome. Mm-hmm. Oh, mystery box. That's what it's called. Just
mystery Google box. That. Google it'll be fine. Nothing bad could surely come out of mystery box as a Google search.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Listen, I do have some shark news.
Good.
Yeah, because sharks are being spotted, and we have, a lot of people out and about. Earlier than usual. It's a little warm, so unseasonably warm in certain areas. A lot of shark sightings. But everybody at all shark scientists want everyone to know to calm down. It's okay. There's no more sharks than there are at any other point, any other season.
Did they count them all?
They did.
All of them?
They took a survey. None of the sharks seemed to be angry.
Oh.
Or grumpy in any way, shape, or form. They are looking forward to a good summer interacting.
They have good psychological testing by the shark scientists. Okay.
They have mentioned that they're not a fan of selfies.
Oh, yeah.
So if people could stop doing that, then they could maybe stop biting people.
Are people like grabbing them and like putting their arms around them?
Yeah, there's been a couple.
Peace sign.
Peace sign for a little while. So the hand's gone. Speaking of regrowth and regeneration of your hand after you lose it from a shark, that's not what we're talking about. I don't know. I was really trying to segue into this guest introduction,
and then you kept going, and it made no sense. Go ahead.
It's going to be a great night, guys. Listen, it is going to be a great night because we have Erika Frost with us today. Erika is a seer and a soul guide, which makes me very excited, whose near-death experience at 20 awakened her psychic gifts and opened a sort of glimpse into the unknown realm for her. And for over 3 decades, she's helped women and LGBTQ plus individuals release fear, clear energetic wounds, and awaken their soul's purpose. A change in career. What? I might need this a little bit. So she blends hypnotherapy, energy alchemy, and intuitive insight, and her work transcends the ordinary, anchored in the mystical, guided by spirit. Once a practicing medium, Erika now empowers others to access their own inner knowing, walking beside those ready to heal, awaken, and remember who they truly are. Help me welcome Erika.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Erika, first I want to congratulate you and me on the fact that I did not mispronounce your last name because it's easy. And I have a habit of doing that
Wow.
at the very last minute.
Congratulations, Jenny. That's really
Thank you.
good. A real
Thank you.
feather in your cap.
It really, 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 really is. Erika, we're super excited to talk to you tonight. And can you tell us a little bit about what led you to this path?
Literally, it was an accident. So I had a car accident when I was 20 from an undiagnosed medical condition, which is epilepsy. I have epilepsy and I didn't know. And so I had my first grand mal seizure while driving my car. Thank goodness I didn't hit anybody, but my car did suffer the damages along with me. So, and that's when I had my near-death experience. And from that point forward, my life really took like a whole other trajectory. Like I was wanting to be a professional ballet dancer before the accident. So I was on that path of creative and arts and dancing and all of that. And then this happened, and now here I am today.
What exactly did a near-death experience awaken, for lack of a better word, by me?
I mean, it's different for everybody, honestly. You know, for me, I went home and came back, and I call it home because that's what it felt like. You know, it
I like
just,
that a lot. I like
yeah.
home a lot.
Yeah, it is. And so so when I came back, it kind of woke up my intuitive or psychic abilities, which for the record, I believe we all have. It's part of our sixth sense. It's not separate to anybody, but for whatever reason, it knocked it open really hard for me. And so yeah.
Is that kind of when you started to do, the psychic and the mediumship and all of that work? Um, it's so interesting to me because I always want to imagine exactly how it came about. But was that a huge shock? Like, did you just start to get impressions of people or situations and then go
Yeah.
like, oh my God?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. Actually, I thought I was going crazy. Like I started hearing things and seeing things and feeling things that I couldn't explain. I mean, so much so that I got myself into therapy, and I was like, I swear I'm crazy. I can't handle this. You know, I'm 20 years old. Everything's changing. Life is just so topsy turvy. On top of navigating epilepsy and not understanding what all of that is, and so it was actually my therapist that kind of nudged me towards the idea that maybe coming back from my near-death experience opened these channels up for me.
Kudos to that therapist.
Yeah, she was super progressive because this was way back in the I don't want to tell you, I'm quite old. This was way back in the 90s. So 1992 to be exact. So she was super progressive, and I feel really fortunate that I met her. And to this day believe that nothing is by accident, and people come into our lives as they're meant to. And yeah, so it was through her that I started understanding, but I didn't actually do any type of work or really claim it until I was much older, in my late 20s, early 30s.
Wow. What prompted you to start working with it?
Again, another accident, literally. So I went to the Queen Mary to support a friend of mine who is an aspiring comedian, and she had a show. And just to like preface this, before all of this started, I was terrified of ghosts. And so it's kind of ironic that I ended up on the Queen Mary. And she knew this too. So she liked to have fun. And, so she's like, after her set, she's like, come on, let's go ghost hunting on the Queen Mary. And I was like, no, thank you. I'm really okay. But, I went anyways. And next thing I know, we're locked way down below in the ship, somewhere in this little tiny room, and we can't get out. And I'm panicking, and she's fine. She's like, listen to that sound. Do you feel that? And I'm like, no, I don't want no. And so I guess because we were making so much noise, the manager on duty came in to let us out. Well, normally it's the manager on duty, but that night it was one of the higher ups in the administration. It was a chief financial officer that happened to be stepping in for the manager on duty because he had called out sick. So we got to talking, and my friend knew very much that I didn't really like to be called psychic back then, but she knew that I was intuitive, that I had these gifts, and we talked about it a lot. And so he said, she goes, oh, this place is so haunted. And he's like, he kind of rolls his eyes like, yeah, I know. I work here. And then he said, we used to have these ghost tours a long time ago, but we're kind of at a standstill. We haven't had them for a while. And he goes, we're looking for, the right psychic. And she looked at me, and I was like, oh, no, don't you dare say it. And she said, well, you have the perfect psychic standing before you. And, one thing led to another. And not even a few weeks later, I was on the ship and creating these tours and these experiences and utilizing my gifts in a way that I never could have imagined.
Okay, but when did the fear of ghosts go away? If you're planning all these tours, what happened there?
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I didn't know this at the time, but I look back and, it's like you just kind of get used to things. Your nervous system is like, well, guess we're doing this. And so it starts finding ways to cope. And then, you stack it on top of each other, And before you know it, it's almost like you have a callus to it.
Yeah.
And equally, as I got familiar, so I think oftentimes we're really afraid of the unknown. And so as I became familiar too, I started realizing, okay, I can count on this in this experience, and I can count on this, but I can say on the Queen Mary, it always throws a curveball. So there were always those moments, but I got to know some of the energies there and realized, okay, this is okay.
Right.
That
Go ahead.
Oh, nothing. I was going to say, that's what a fantastic way to sort of just launch into it, right?
Head first.
Yeah, absolutely. Head first. Did you transition? So obviously somewhere along the way you transitioned. Why can't I say that word? You transitioned from, doing the ghost tours and being in that sort of area of the paranormal, but you moved it over to helping people.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that? Was there anything that prompted that, or?
Yeah, actually, so one of the things that I said I was willing to do these ghost tours if, with the intent that I could help open somebody's eyes to the idea that there is more to life than this physical world. And that was the whole reason why I stepped forward and stepped through that fear. But in doing all of that, I started to notice it taking a turn, and it started changing a little bit in a way that didn't feel completely aligned for me. And at the same time, it was starting to take a toll on my physical body and my mental health and things like that. Like I was living in between two worlds for so long that I didn't know which world I was living in most of the time.
Oh, wow.
So it got really hard and really heavy. Towards the end, I had other healers and psychics and mediums tell me that I had spirit attachments. And to be honest, it could have very well been true. I can remember because I would do these 4 nights a week, and I would get home at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, sometimes depending. And I would fall asleep in my bathtub thinking, because I get home and take a bath because I was freezing. And then I would fall asleep, and then, you wake yourself up, and I'm like, okay, did I just drown? Like I couldn't process what was happening. And then my dog would come, and, she would see me, and I go, okay, no, I'm fine. And then like, no, wait, animals can see dead people too. So
oh God.
Am I alive? Am I like, what is happening? So
that's rough. Like, truly, you were like, I don't know which
Yeah.
plane am I on? Like, somebody fill me in. Is there like a clock I can look at? I'm confused. That's got to be maddening.
It really was. It really, really was. And it became too much. And, the interesting thing too is that while we're dealing in the energetics and the supernatural world, we're also still dealing with the human aspect of who we are, right? So all of our traumas and wounds as a human and the density and all of those things. So I just felt like I had like layer upon layer upon layer of things that I needed to untangle and unwind. So I stepped away and went on a pretty intense and long healing journey that took me on a wide, windy road, but it's ultimately how it landed me here.
Yeah. I'm always so curious about that, because we do occasionally talk to mediums and psychics and people who actively work with spirits or ghosts in haunted locations or in locations that clearly like trauma has been affected and or has happened, and how that must stack on to what we already carry around just by being human.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of layers, and we're multidimensional beings, I believe. And we're not, we're not separate from anything. So it layers. And while there are practices and things that we can do, it's a lot. It can get intense and overwhelming. So I just felt like it was time for me to pass the baton and move on to what's next, and really, really understand the human component. It felt like I had the spiritual part down really well.
Mhm.
And now I needed to learn how to be really present and in my body and human.
Let's talk about that human part right after this.
For those of you naysayers, I want you to know how much I appreciate how many of you grabbed a hold of my small package after last week's show. It is out and available. You can get both of my books, The Other Side, A Guide to the Paranormal and Ghost Hunting, and my brand new book, Theater of the Mind, Tales from the Darkness. Both books are out. One, of course, kind of a how-to ghost hunt book, and the other story book of strange supernatural occurrences all around the world. You can get your hand on my small package by just ordering it right off of my website. You can go right to paranormal60.com, scroll down on the front page there, or go to the shop and scroll down and you'll see our book bundle. And I was so humbled by the fact of how many men put their hands on my small package at the end of last week's show and bought it. It was great. It made me feel loved and wanted. I'm not going to lie.
The man, the myth, the legend.
That's great.
So right before the break, we were getting into like the human condition, as it were. But looking at through kind of what you're doing now, you talk about kind of being almost like a soul guide kind of thing. What does that mean?
That's a great question. I feel like what a soul guide is just somebody that helps a person remember why they came here.
Okay,
It's really-
Tressa's just cheering right now. So please go on and explain a little bit
Yes,
further if
I
you
love this
can,
very much.
because
I
she's so
love
happy
this.
right now.
Yes, because why? Get me. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's fine. So we kind of like what we talked about, right? There's layers and layers of things. Well, we have societal conditioning, we have expectations, we have traumas from our childhood, we have all these things that are mixed up in our brain, but it's not just in our brain, it's in our energetic body, it's in our physical body. And it condenses us, it constricts us, and then we get compounded, and we get tired, and we get hopeless, and then we forget. Also, as children, we are so connected to our soul. We're so connected to why we came here. We play, we have these knowings, we have these dreams, and we have these things, but our logical mind starts to override that. And so I'm the person that helps you remember.
I love that. Because, everyone is like, oh, everyone knows that children are more sensitive than adults. Well, of course they are. They haven't had the world beat into them yet.
Right. It's true.
And they haven't been told that they're wrong yet either.
Yeah, but
it's okay for kids to believe in magic, but adults.
Right. Yeah.
But anyway, I like that you said that a lot, because they do so much research and whatnot now, like even in psychology, to sort of look at how many different areas of somebody's life is damaged or changed by the various traumas that they go through, the what is it? The Body Keeps the Score. I love that book. Top-notch book.
I do too. It's a great book. Yeah, it's amazing, and it's really very true. If we can kind of understand it at a larger level. So yeah, I like it too.
So how does one? I don't know. How do you go about this? Like, how is this a practice?
Yeah. So, it took me a lot of years to figure out how to integrate all the modalities. We go to therapy, and we feel good, but maybe it doesn't always sink in completely, or we don't have it. We don't know it in a deeper soul level. So it's still good, but it doesn't give us a complete experience. And then we maybe go and have Reiki or some type of energy work done, and that feels tingly and amazing in the moment. But it doesn't connect the trauma events that you just talked about with your therapist. Or maybe we'll go to a yoga class, and we'll do some somatic movement, and we'll dance or whatever, move the energy out, move the emotions out, but it doesn't sink deep inside. Maybe it does for a brief moment. So what I've done is I've created a 7-week program. It's chakra-based healing and chakra-based coaching. And so using hypnotherapy and integrative guided meditations, and a complete workbook that I created to accompany you along the journey. We go through every single chakra point. It's 7 weeks, and we get to the heart. And it's not me. It's literally you that guides it. Everybody that I've worked with has a completely different experience, which is so amazing. And it's exciting. So it's really about a complete transformation by integrating all the different layers of us.
That sounds fascinating. Does it follow sort of the path that you went on in this journey from, the badness to now what you're doing?
It does. I went to Peru to become a yoga teacher because I was determined to have a very spiritual experience, and wanted to understand, kind of get away from what we know here. And so I became a yin yoga teacher there.
Ooh.
Which was, yeah.
I love it so much. I love it.
Jenny's a big yoga fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. Me too. And, with yin specifically, you work with the meridian lines.
Yeah.
And so it's an energetic addition to yoga, I believe. So it works with the subtle body, which I love. So I did that. I became a Reiki master. I became a certified hypnotherapist. I became a death doula, which is it's not completely a part of the program that I offer, but I do a lot of volunteering with hospice. And so I sit with people who transition home. And so it's a big reason why I have such a desire to help people live their best life, because we have an option to face fear right now and step outside of our comfort zone, so that when we're on our deathbed, we're not looking back having regrets. Or we stay small and we live the life that everybody thinks we're supposed to live. And then on our deathbed, we're like, man, I wish I should have, or I could have. And so it's like, so that was a big part for me too. And the death doula part was inspired by a loved one who, she was like my soul sister, and she passed away. I was her caregiver. And so she passed away while I was holding her hand, and it was a beautiful gift to witness. And also equally, it's hard because we're human, so it's sad. But knowing the other side, it's just, I wish, and my hope is to just instill in everyone that there is truly so much going on here. And while losing people here on earth is hard for us, there's nothing to be afraid of on the other side. And it is truly a celebration there.
I've always thought, like, even at a very young age, like, we mourn our past loved ones for ourselves because they're fine.
Yeah.
It's not about them. They're doing great now.
Yeah.
And I think that not a lot of people understand that, and it's always been very obvious to me since I was very young. So I love that. Can I ask you a little bit about the death doula thing? Like, kind of off topic, but also very much on topic.
Yeah.
You'd ask anyway, regardless of if it was on topic or
not.
Okay.
if you're like spark up, like, I want to know about this thing.
Yeah.
So do you, I don't want to say powers, do you use your sensitivities as a death? Do you see like past loved ones coming to visit and help guide this person on to the next plane ever?
Yeah. Sometimes I do. And sometimes if the conversation organically presents itself, I will share. I always try to be really mindful of everyone that's going through the experience. And oftentimes I'll share my near-death experience with those who are transitioning, if they are lucid enough to speak, or aware enough to speak, I'm sorry. And so I hope that brings them some comfort, and we kind of joke, and I always say, "Can I come with you?" And they always say, "Oh, you're gonna know. I'm gonna come see you." So, it's I know that hopefully it doesn't sound too dark, but it's like,
No.
I really hope to bring some peace and even levity to the experience, because
it's heavy.
Yeah, it is. But what's so funny is, so when we give birth into this world, right, we're like excited, and all the aunts and uncles are around, and everybody's there, right, at the hospital waiting for the new baby, and they're like, celebration. Well, honestly, what I see and what I feel very strongly is it's the same way, but reversed, right? So all the family members are on the other side. They're like waiting for the soul to come back, and they're like, okay, push. And then the soul comes back and everybody's like, yay, and we're here. And but everybody on earth is sad. And I think we can kind of look at it in the reverse way. So
I love that. Oh, she's finally given birth. Kind of.
Yeah. Well, there's something so profoundly beautiful, that bittersweetness of being able to witness someone leaving, and just standing witness to that. I think that's just such a huge thing. But yeah, it definitely stacks some more extra onto onto you.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to surprise you.
Oh,
but-
not at all.
No.
No,
I love a good surprise.
Listen, like anybody who is within the hospice world who has managed to be present in those moments for the person, who is passing, I mean, God bless them, seriously.
Yeah. Well,
Like hospice workers, come on,
yeah,
man.
yeah. There's a lot
Seriously.
of them.
Yeah.
I agree. And the nurses and the caseworkers, the chaplains, all of them just serve such an important purpose. So yeah.
Yeah.
But I
I
guess
don't-
that. Oh, go ahead.
No, please.
No, I shouldn't say it. And that is all why I created what I created.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this a great deal, a lot of this. And it wasn't just because you mentioned yoga, but
But a lot of it is.
but a lot of it is. No, but we did. I had a couple of yoga teachers, and I've been in a couple of these classes where they were in classes and they were doing poses specifically meant to open up your chakras. And it's astounding what sorts of things, can come up. So you've got that part of it. And then, oh my gosh, you have had to see some really beautiful stories.
Yeah, I have, and it always, we never, when we first start, we never, like, we kind of have a starting point, right? But we work in the foundation, the root chakra, and I use hypnotherapy as a way to get into that space subconsciously. I also use binaural beats, and so using sound like that helps, I believe, helps regulate the brain enough that then we can go deeper in hypnosis, and and it's a very gentle practice. I let my clients dictate where they want to go with it, and so it's just this journey of discovery, and what is kind of starting this whole process for them and where they might be stuck. And then from there it just carries up through all the different chakras, using hypnosis and of course the integrative guided meditation. So yeah, it's been really fascinating and exciting.
You mentioned binaural beats, and outside of seeing them listed in my little ASMR videos when I listen to those to go to sleep, I don't know what those are. Could you please explain them to me like maybe I'm 5?
Okay. I mean, really, people, I think we overcomplicate it. It's really just sounds and tones that work with the different brain waves, the alpha, theta, beta, and gamma brain waves, so that they come to a neutral state. Now, there's some frequencies and tones that can bring you to, again, maybe you've heard of like manifestation frequency or heart opening frequency or all of those things, different hertz. And so the ones that I use are the ones that just kind of bring you into this really balanced state so that we can go deeper. And that it's really just about tones and frequencies and brain waves.
Now, is it true? And here is an example, Tressa, of talking about something that's completely and totally off topic. Cats' purrs. I've heard that they like do this
Yes.
frequency that's like super calming
I
for you.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I'd be curious to know, like, if somebody were to record it, what that frequency level was. Because there's like like everything is frequency.
Yeah.
And nothing is really solid. Like even your table, like it's not completely solid. So it's fascinating. I'm just so fascinated about all this too. And so I don't know what the cat frequency is, but I can research it and I'll get back to you.
Yes, please do that. And of course, it's just something that I saw in like some video clip someplace, because that's like half of my brain is filled with that information, and the other half is like actual, like, hey, I just read this article and I actually did the research. This is just like,
This is the headline version.
It's written by cats. we gotta keep ourselves in tuna.
It's funny.
Mm, my brain is different. I hear the purr and I'm like, what are you getting hair on?
Oh, I understand that.
Mhm, 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 mhm. I don't even know where I was going. I got distracted by the cats.
Yeah.
Writing this information to get more food.
I mean, Jenny, okay, if we're gonna go off of sound for just a second, think of
Mhm.
infrasound and how much that is
I
like.
love infrasound.
I know, and it's like the same concept. It's like you
It
feel
is.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
You feel it before you can hear it, if you even
Mhm.
hear it. And it's like the same thing where your brain is reacting to something it might not.
Yeah.
I don't feel well.
It's yeah. No, that's crazy though, right? Because infrasound can be so strong that it like stuns someone or it causes like micro fractures in bone.
Yeah,
So is this kind of can sound then be used to heal things?
absolutely. Yes, I believe that 100%. And in fact, that was another part of my journey is working with singing bowls and becoming, you know, more connected to sound. So I do song sorry, sound baths. I do sound baths periodically and guided meditations with those as well. So yeah, sound can absolutely heal. I think.
I like all of these things, especially the singing bowls. They just sound pretty either way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they
Either
do.
way.
I agree.
So in the guided meditation and whatnot, because we've talked a bunch about, and we might need to get to this after our next break, but we've talked a lot to several people about meditation being, a way that we can sort of reconnect with various vibrations to actually do some sort of dimension or time travel, things like that. Tressa just smiled real big. So
The fact that you're mentioning it, I'm like, continue. Yes, smile. You know what? We'll talk about this right after this. Oh,
A vampire in Rhode Island?
A UFO crash in Connecticut?
A flying moose in Maine?
A haunted bridge that calls your name?
New England is weird.
Really weird.
Wicked Strange by Jeff Belanger and Frank Grace is your ticket to the bizarre. Ghosts, monsters, urban legends, and roadside oddities you won't believe until you see them.
So pre-order now on Amazon. It drops September 2nd.
Assuming the Black Dog of West Peak doesn't get you first.
Let's get strange.
Wicked Strange. Pre-order your copy now on Amazon.
Before we get into that, I do want to mention a comment and good luck, Mark, because I'm not going to be able to do this last name. We had a comment about the infrasound. It's longer wavelengths and it does not fall into where we can actually hear and understand it, like our range. But yes, so a bit different from the singing bowls and all of those things. Okay, here it just punches you in the guts. Whatever, it's totally fine. Whatever, it's totally fine. Okay. So with meditation and with getting through all of these layers that you kind of have to go through in order to reconnect with your soul, in a lot of things we find that a lot of people recommend the meditation. I mean, we talk about meditation being a way to almost time travel if you can cue into certain frequencies. Am I getting that right, Tressa? Because sometimes we hear about time travel and I go, I don't care. And then other times we hear about it and I go, oh, okay.
I'm also freezing a bunch, so I can't really hear everything that's being said. So go ahead, Jenny.
Okay, cool. But that's kind of almost the point of like transcendental meditation, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So there's a lot of different kinds of meditation too. That's, I think kind of because we're all different people. So what works for one may not work for another. And so as far as like the time traveling, is the quantum leaping, things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Which is not what I'm suggesting you do, by the way.
No.
I'm just saying there's such a broad range when we hear meditation.
Yeah.
More so, I guess, specifically, like, what are you using? What does it look like?
Yeah, what it looks like for me is that it is an integrative meditation that comes directly from our hypnosis session, and so it's guided, and which means I use various different sounds and tones underneath, but it's almost like a little mini hypnosis session to really integrate everything that they experienced in their session, because it takes 21 days for the brain to change. So I'm really focusing more on reconnecting neural pathways that were broken. And when we are fully aligned and healed in that way, other parts of us begin to magically open up. So you can use hypnosis for past life regressions, for quantum leaping or jumping, and different other types of things. But so I think when it comes to meditation, I guess it depends on the type of meditation. There's breath work meditation, there's the transcendental, there's the guided. And so I specifically use guided using imagery and things like that.
So it's almost like a reinforcement to the work that you did prior. Yeah. Okay. Sort of cementing in those changes in the neurological pathways.
Yes, correct. And so it's that, and also it's because we're working within the energetic body, within the different chakra points. Our minds, our thoughts go to that part of our energetic body. We begin to visualize the things that we want to expand on. We begin to visualize the balances, even using colors and things like that. So it's a twofold experience. And quite honestly, it was something that I stumbled across for doing it on myself. Mm-hmm. And so I realized that this is a way to move energy in the body while also healing neural pathways.
I like that a lot.
This is an excellent advertisement. I would like to subscribe to your newsletter and take your course.
We certainly can.
I love hearing about all these different ways to go about healing and these ways to go about reconnecting with yourself and really and truly just sort of expanding your mind or your emotions or your spiritual side, however it looks. And the thing that always gets me is when, it's tied into very solid, very provable, very repeatable, like scientific evidence, which nailed with the 21 days. That's why most any sort of addiction counseling or treatment lasts for 21 days. That's the standard, is because it's resetting your brain and developing those new neurological pathways. So it's really getting into, neuroscience with all of this.
Yeah, I'm so fascinated by that. And I just think the brain, so I have a neurological disorder. Mm-hmm. And so I just kind of candidly want to share, which I haven't shared a lot, this part of my story, but 20, I was diagnosed with epilepsy. And then at 41, I went through some very severe traumatic events that landed me back in the hospital, thinking that I had epilepsy that was not controllable. I was having 4 to 5 grand mal seizures a day. It was more than I could process or handle. And so they put me in the hospital. And, the funny thing is, and I was on medication, but it still wasn't handling everything. And as soon as I get to the hospital, maybe because it's so peaceful and I had zero stress. People were like, I was strapped down. I couldn't get up. People had to walk me to the bathroom, and, they brought me food, and it was quiet and dark, and I got to sleep all the time. I had no seizures. It was wild. It was wild. And so this was back in like 2014-ish, 2015-ish. So they did all this whole workup, and they came to me and they said, we believe that you also have, in addition to your epilepsy, something called PNES. And this is non-epileptic seizure disorder, basically. And what they said was, you're having real seizures, but they're not affecting your brain.
What?
And so we're like, yeah, an epileptic seizure can cause some brain damage. So it's really important to control those. The non-epileptic ones, while they're very real, the only real danger is if you hit your head or something like that. You're not going to have any type of brain issues. And they said, you have this, and it's a quote unquote, at that time, they were very shameful, and they said, you have a mental illness. And I thought, that's fascinating. And I said, well, how do I fix this? And they said, the only way you can do that is to go to therapy. And I about laughed my head off, because I've been in and out of therapy my whole life. And so I thought, okay, well, great. You're sending me to something that clearly hasn't worked enough for me. And so then I began to research the brain. I began to get very curious and fascinated by, well, what is happening? While equally feeling, because at that time, I don't think that the medical community was as gracious as they are now, but we're still having some challenges, and they were very shaming. And you couldn't talk about this to anybody, really. So I went to a therapist, and they were like, I don't even know what this is. I don't even know if it's a real condition. We don't have it in the DSM-5. They're like, I don't know how to help you. And so it really literally was my own quest for healing this. And what I realized is that all the trauma that I had went through in that period of my life, on top of all of the energetic trauma that I had been through doing what I did for however many years, I did it on the Queen Mary, working with spirits and heavy energies, and equally working with the guests that would come on the ship who were terrified. I was holding space for thousands of people in a year who were literally terrified, and it affected me at a really deep, energetic, nervous system, neural pathway level. And so as I unwound it and I began to put all these pieces together, I was like, I've been seizure free for 3 years now, totally good, and managed, and it's just it was a part of my story that I don't talk about a lot, but I think it's really important for your listeners or anybody who's interested in how I came to this. That's a big part of the why.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Congratulations on the, is that an appropriate thing to say? Congratulations on the 3 years.
On overcoming medical stuff in America, I guess.
Yeah, I know anybody that for that is a big deal.
Well, I mean, I remember not too long ago, they first started talking about like the actual effects of like compassion fatigue.
Yes.
And really looking at what that does to somebody and what that does to the body and to the soul, all of those things, Yeah. So you're right. Absolutely. Like, there's just so much unknown about the brain. Like they figure out one thing and then they can't figure out another thing, like.
Do you think that the seizures that, am I misunderstanding? They're just like, we don't know what these non-epileptic seizures are, and that never got solved. Is that right?
They equated it to just like mental health. Like, I haven't dealt with it with my complete, all the traumas that I've had. Right. And, and throughout, and so a couple of years ago, I connected with another woman who was diagnosed with PNES, after she after she got the West Nile virus. And so it's just so fascinating because this is a physical
Yeah.
manifestation, and it doesn't always connect to trauma, but maybe it does, but it takes that physical thing to bring it out and up to the surface enough, like the body keeps the score. The body's finally like, okay, we are done. You need to listen to us. It's time to make changes. So
do you think
yeah.
part of that was you just like absorbing everybody's energy and keeping all that space for them and all that empathy that you had for all the people that you were helping? Like I can't imagine it not being sort of physical manifestation of that.
It's a real, I mean, part of it, that is like the real thing with the compassion fatigue, but you weren't asking me.
No,
really interrupting.
Yeah, it's all of it. It's like layer upon layer upon layer, right? It's not this or that. It's this and that times all these other layers. So, and that's what makes us so amazing, because we are so complicated,
Right.
and, and I gravitated to the brain amongst recognizing the energetics and of course our soul. And I always, even from the time I was a little girl, I always wondered, does our soul live in our brain? Like, I know that sounds weird, but we have, I think they say we use like 10 or 15% of our brain. Like, what's the rest of it for?
They're not even really particularly sure, because
Yeah.
you can see the entire brain fire up sometimes, but sometimes not so much. And I mean, we have receptors in there that they know about, and they're not sure why.
Yeah.
We have
right?
cannabinoid receptors in our brain, which yes relate to cannabis, but they don't really know why. They're sort of spread amongst our body. Not real
Yeah.
positive on it. There's so much, and it's fascinating the way that these things coincide and work together in so many situations. You know,
Yeah.
like the big trauma and the PTSD, and then the little traumas, the little T's, and how they all add up.
Yeah.
And with every iteration of like I don't know, help programs, you find a lot of these similar things.
Yes. Yeah.
Unbelievably fascinating.
I do too. And I just think that, I don't know, the more that we discover, the more possibilities there are. So yeah, that's why I think I'm just really, I like, I don't know, I just love all of it.
It's amazing.
Just say, going back just a second, that I was like, a couple years ago, I was talking about the soul and how it lives in the head, obviously. And someone was like, nobody knows where the soul is. What are you talking about?
Sure.
Wait, no, but wait, how would anyone know that? I just assumed.
Yeah, no, it's just one of those things. It's like, is it in all of it? Like, is it in our whole body? Is it in one part of our body? Like, where is that one little doorway?
You can get a kidney removed, you still have your soul. You can get all sorts of organs removed and you're fine, but you get rid of the head and it's gone.
Right.
But
well, you get into some of the wild things, and they talk about like the third eye, and then is it the pituitary or the
the pineal gland.
Yeah, like, and they're like, well, that's where your soul is, and I'm like, all right, sure, why not? Like, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's where, so far anyways, that I'm convinced that that's where we connect. That's where our soul lives and connects to spirit, to source, to God, to universe, whatever we want to call it. But yeah.
Listen, we're at the end of our hour.
But I don't want to be.
Can you plug all the things that you would like to plug? Because everyone needs to take this course.
Thank you. Well, you can find me on my website at my name, erikafrost.com. And that's spelled with a K. Or if you have a question, you can email me, and it's hello@erikafrost.com. So super easy. And then I offer a 45-minute kind of like clarity call where we get together, and it's free, it's complimentary. We kind of go through where you're at in your path. And then I share a little bit about my program and then see if it's a good fit. So I offer that as well. And I don't know, I'm around. You can find me. My Instagram is @ErikaFrostOfficial, and so is my Facebook, which hopefully I was able to connect it properly. And we have some visitors on Facebook.
Hooray!
Yeah.
Jeni, did you have a last question? I feel like I cut you off.
No, I was going to go on a completely different rant that would, be way too much information about me and what you think about what I'm saying. So perhaps we will stick that. But Erika, it's been a
next
delight. Please stick
Yes.
around right after we go off the air, just so we can say thank you again. And I can find out what you think about me.
I think you're amazing, honestly.
Yay!
Thank you to you both too for having me. It's been really a pleasure.
It's been great. Thank you so much. Hey,
Sorry.
everybody else, thank you so much for watching and tuning in and joining us on the Monsters Lounge. So until next time, thanks for joining the Monsters Lounge.